Okay, it's 7 o'clock. The October 19th, 2023 Wilton Board of Education meeting is called to order. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Thank you, Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nicola. All in favor? Motion carries. Public comment. The board has set aside time at the beginning and end of regular meetings for public comments for members of the public to share their views on matters involving the Wilton Public Schools and to help inform the board's decisions on such matters. 2 minutes will be allotted to each speaker and a maximum of 15 minutes to any one subject. For the record, please also give your name and address. The board considers the views of citizens in all its deliberations and welcomes and appreciates public comment. The board listens to public comment thoughtfully and with interest. The board, however, generally does not respond to public comment during board meetings by offering commentary or answering questions. The board also invites commentators and the public to contact the board or the superintendent directly with any specific questions or comments. The board, through the chair and the superintendent, may respond to questions and comments offered during public comment or shared directly, and in responding may also direct members of the public to appropriate staff member for a response. Are there any public comments? Seeing none in the room. Consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Thank you, Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. All in favor? Unanimously carries. Salute to excellence.
Super. Favorite part of the meeting. So we're very fortunate tonight to have some of our good friends and colleagues from our Community Steps program, as well as I see at least one of our amazing, incredible community partners. And so we thought we would take the opportunity to highlight some of our fabulous students, allow them an opportunity to showcase some work, and then we can brag about one of our really great community partnerships with our friends across the street. So I'm going to turn it over to Melissa Barrett, our Assistant Director of Special Services, and ask her to do the introductions, please.
Come on up.
Welcome.
Come on over, John. So I'm first going to start by thanking the board. Some of you might remember that we presented this program in 2016 for the 2017 school year. We had 4 students and promised to grow, and that it was something to really incorporate some of our amazing learners in the community and cost avoidance. And you'll see we went from 4 students to now 9. I'm looking to take in 3 next year and only have 1 leaving, so we continue to grow. And with that, if people can make the magic happen every day, I just get to watch it. Who is new to Community Steps, but a beloved teacher who ran our Cloud Center program at Middlebrook, and has done amazing things throughout her time as an educator. Denise Arnakis, who is kind of the glue to our program. Naomi Williams and I started the program together, so she's been in it forever, an amazing speech pathologist. And Liza Starnino is one of our incredible social workers from the high school who has some of her time spent into Community Steps, which is not easy. She makes it work in her schedule, and it's a huge gift to the program to have that support. So the best part of the program is our students. So they are here today to tell you a little bit about what Community Steps brings to them. And then, like Dr. Smith said, we have amazing community partnerships within our program, but the Y is a home base for us, both for vocational and some independent living, so we're excited to thank you for that. So John, are you ready to start us off?
Do you want to come up and sit, or whatever makes you happy?
Community Steps is a transition program for young adults. This is my 4th and final year in Community Steps. We have a lot of vocational sites within our community. One vocational site that I have is Van Ambler Farm. Farmer Jonathan taught me how to ride a tractor. Community Steps is important to me because I get to volunteer at all places I used to visit as a child and get and I can get a sense of what it's like being out in the community, like helping out at Chartwell's in my old schools. I also get to work at the cash register and serve people food at Cafe Steps at the local Y.
John?
Thank you.
And next we have John Soma.
Yes, that's me.
Yep, that is you, my man.
Is there a little help, please?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. This is my first year career steps. I partnered my grocery shopping. My groceries cook my lunches every day. Praying in community steps is important to me because I am making lunch and going factors and go opposites like the beach and Boreali, community steps, orange eye. I love to see my friends and go on adventures with them. I like some my jobs and I like pulling tags and clothes and shirts. And my favorite community steps is Cafe Steps because it's fun. Please.
Great job, buddy. And to close us, we have Ms. Emily Waldman.
Hi, my name is Edley Waldman. This is my first year at Community Steps. I've set a goal for myself and followed a workout routine at YMCA. This is important to me because I want to learn how to have a healthy lifestyle and that I can keep building on during my time at Community Steps and take with me after I graduate Community Steps. Thank you.
So thank you. I know that we have, can we call you up, Bob? Can you stand? Yes, come on. We wouldn't be able to do anything without you. Truly, you've been a partner with us from the very beginning. As you can see from the slides, our students work out there every day. We've also opened up a cafe, if anybody wants to come back, that our students work at, and that was really an idea of yours that we were lucky enough, a collaboration between the two, that we were lucky enough to be with. So we couldn't do it without you. So thank you. We're going to miss you dearly. Community partners in town, Nova Cafe, the Turnover Shop, Bob's, TJ Maxx. We partner really well with NCC. John Arthur left, well, he's out there, but he is really successful and on his programming at our community college. So anyone who has community connections, we're always looking for opportunities. And once again, you guys took a chance in 2017 and it certainly paid off, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Can we do a picture? Can we have
Sure.
students,
Let me get
staff,
my other friend.
Mr. McDowell? Come on up. We'll take a pic. Come on up here under the under our sign.
Public schools.
You know, we also, we have it's been a while since we've done a salute to excellence, but we like to present our honorees with just a simple certificate, just so we can say thank you, so everyone should take that for us. And we also want to, we'll get this framed for Bob. For those of you who don't know, after a long and tremendous career, Bob has chosen to retire and is moving back to Pennsylvania. And he's one of my favorite partners because whenever I say, hey, he's like, yeah, let's do it. And it's amazing. So, thank you.
Say cheese, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good job. Yes, thank you.
Once you guys hold on to that. Right?
Thank you.
It's so amazing, it just makes me feel, okay, great.
Chair report. Hi, good evening. I just have a few quick remarks. I had the pleasure of attending the conversation with Jennifer Wallace on her recent bestseller, Never Enough, When Achievement Culture Becomes Toxic and What We Can Do About It. The room was packed, and that is a testament to Wilton's educational values. I found it moving to hear that she first came to Wilton in 2019 after Sonia Luther offered Wilton as an example of a place doing it right. Her exploration of healthy strivers and mattering are worth our time and attention. Kevin will also be leading an in-depth book discussion on October 26th at 10 a.m. and sign up is available at the Wilton Youth Council website, which is wiltonyouth.org, and that'll be held over at Comstock. It was also my pleasure to revise a longstanding board tradition of notes from the board table. The letter is available on Good Morning Wilton and will also be posted to the BOE website. This particular update brought a smile to my face, as there's nothing better than sharing good news and celebrating the hard work and success of our schools, teachers, kids, and families. Unfortunately, our Zoom and sound difficulties need a little bit of a more involved fix. And until that time, public comment is available in person at the beginning and end of every meeting. And our meetings will be broadcast live and for later viewing on YouTube channel, I believe it is 78. Thank you. Superintendent report.
Great, I have a few things for you. So first, it's been a few weeks since we've updated you on the building conditions at Middlebrook and Cider Mill. So the good news is the conditions in the building have stabilized. Getting away from the damp and humid weather has made a big difference. Jose and his team have been working morning, noon, and night to remediate the conditions in those buildings. So at Cider Mill, at present, we have a number of dehumidifiers still running, pretty much 24/7 in the classrooms in the lower level in the Cannondale section. But the teachers and the staff down there are reporting, things are much better. It's drier, and there aren't any continued issues. We had 3 classrooms where, through not only just the humid conditions, but also leaks from clogged unit ventilators. Sheetrock was wet, so we brought in Restoration 1 to really do a very thorough mitigation in 3 classrooms. They inspected, they wound up pulling out a lot of sheetrock, they pulled out a bunch of ceiling tiles, made sure that everything was clean and dry, and then our guys are rebuilding the classrooms, replacing the sheetrock. So it's 110, 120, and then 285 are offline. Jose tells me that he expects 110 and 120 to be back on the next week, and then 285, they've got a bit more work to do. That's the room. It's upstairs. It's in the back of the building, and it's built into the ground. And so one of the challenges there, like in Middlebrook, with all of the rain, we had, or it's in downstairs, I'm saying upstairs, because there's really downstairs, there's the first floor, and there's upstairs. But the back of the building, anyway, like we had at Middlebrook, moisture was seeping through the foundation. And so when they were inspecting, they saw wet sheetrock, so they pulled it out. They've applied that kind of moisture barrier epoxy, and now they're putting the room back together again. So we've got probably another couple of weeks before that room is back online. As always, our staff and students have been super flexible, and we're humming along. At Middlebrook, we're continuing with the plan that we started back, right in early September. So far, flooring in 14 classrooms has been replaced. They've got 3 more to do, and so he's hoping to have those done in the next couple of weeks. As we were inspecting, there were also some concerns in the band room where Mike Gordon teaches, and so we want to do some work in that room. So that's been added to the list, and we think if not this weekend, next weekend, that room will be addressed. And then at that point, we should be in pretty good shape. So, we did not budget for any of that. Jose has been tabulating the costs. When we meet next, I'll have a complete rundown in detail for you. So he's got most of it. The piece he doesn't have yet is the full cost for ATC doing the continued air testing. We have at least 1, maybe 2 more rounds of air testing to do, just to make sure things are really copacetic. So once we have those costs, I'll come back to you with a full set. Between the contracted services, so ATC, Restoration 1, there was another service provider he brought out. All of the materials, so ceiling tiles, flooring, paint, epoxy, and then the overtime of our staff, because they have been primarily doing the work. We're looking at a total cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $135,000 to $150,000. So what you can anticipate from me when I bring you the total cost, I'm also going to bring you a recommendation that we approach the Board of Finance and ask for a supplemental appropriation from the Charter Authority to cover some or all of that. So I mentioned that to all of them who participated in the Business Operations Committee this morning. I'm sharing it with you now just so there's no surprise. And I think that's appropriate. That's why the funds are there for these kinds of extraordinary expenses. I don't think we should carry these costs in our budget. So anyway, we can discuss that when next we meet. Just transitioning to a little bit of commentary about the Board of Finance. I attended the meeting last night. I saw both Pam and Ruth had also attended. They, as you know, they have been working on developing and debating whether or not they should offer guidance. And so I would encourage everybody just to watch the tape of that meeting because there are some really important differences as we're coming into this budget year that they spoke about, and we'll speak about again in detail. They are what Matt Raimondi has been able to do. He solicited from us, from Lynn and her team at the town, just a bunch of kind of high-level financial information. And so he's trying to build a model based on the variables that we know, so they can reasonably estimate what budgets are going to look like next year. And so one of the really confounding factors is the revaluation. And so that's going to kick off in the winter, and if I understood correctly, it sounds like they probably won't have solid grand list information until March or April after the assessment appeal process is complete. So the timing's not great there. And then the other piece that is just one that we have to confront collectively with the other boards in town is the facility study. And so there'll be a tri or quad board meeting sometime in November where we'll all kind of get to hear the presentation at the same time, and at that point there'll have to be some planning and some presentation. And as you know from the numbers that Lynn shared with the board of selectmen a few weeks ago, the total cost is well north of $100 million. So it's a big deal. It's going to take a long time, and so there's going to be some pretty serious decisions that have to be made in the short term, and folks are going to have to decide what the increments are in terms of how we respond and what we respond to that's inside that study. What Matt shared with the Board of Finance last night was, he had a high-level summary. They've got some more information they want to gather, and then they want to have a much more substantive conversation on the 14th of November. And it sounds like maybe at that point they'll come to a conclusion about whether or not they're going to offer guidance and what that'll look like. So I'll plan to attend because it sounds like we'll have an opportunity to share some further information just about kind of where we are in our own forecasting. So we can put that on the calendars. Kind of moving forward, just to move it out of the way. We also had a business operations committee meeting this morning. Both Matt and Sandy attended that. So Dawn provided the September financial update. She reviewed the transfer report. The good news there is we're kind of in our appropriation. If you remember where we were a year ago, we were in tough shape with special education outplacements and then with electricity and fuel. So we're in a much better position this year. So she'll talk to you more about that in a moment. Matt did a fine job this morning of just kind of reviewing, just the elements of the mill rate, and so he took the group through that in pretty good detail. And then I just updated the folks on enrollment, where we were with the mold remediation efforts, and then we talked a little bit more about the next Board of Finance meeting. So that was that. A couple more updates here. So last week was homecoming. It was a great spirited week here at the high school. The football game was played in the rain. I don't know if any of you were there. It felt like it rained about 6 inches that day. We didn't get the outcome we wanted, at least on the field, but we do want to say a very sincere thank you to our student government, to Christina Harvey and Jean Bray, who kind of for years have been facilitating. There may be other adults, but they just do a great job kind of organizing the kids and helping set these plans up. So thank you for a terrific Spirit Week, and we look forward to another one. This week, as some of you know, at Cider Mill was Start With Hello Week. And so a group of us got together at the crack of dawn Monday morning when those poor kids are getting off the bus. I dragged my 7th graders with me who were psyched about that, as you can
So
imagine.
psyched. So smiling.
Yeah, funny. And so this is a program developed by Sandy Hook Promise, and it's very kind of simple but powerful in its idea. And the whole goal of the program is to really attack social isolation. We have too many kids in our schools who come in and don't have the solid friendships and connections, and just kind of go through the day without ever being acknowledged by another kid or another adult. And so this was one effort among other things they had going on this week to really kind of put that on the table and make sure that kids are being acknowledged and recognized, and as part of our just continued climate improvement efforts that we're really trying to have some fun with it too and bring people into the community. So that was terrific. If they're closing it out tomorrow, so if you're around at 7:15 and want to meet us on the sidewalk in front of Cider Mill, we're going to do it one last time for the week. I understand that our football and varsity cheerleaders will be there as well. So we're grateful to them for coming out. And then last, we left at your table a flyer for a film that was released just a couple months ago. It's called Mending the Line. The screenwriter is a Wilton High School alumnus, Stephen Camilio. So you may recognize his mom, Claire, was our longtime athletic secretary.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so Stephen lives out in Montana, and while he was out there, if I understand correctly, he came upon a program where people work with veterans who've seen combat who are suffering from PTSD, and they use fly fishing as a therapy to help them recover and then to reintegrate into life. So Stephen, it sounds like, was kind of really captivated by what he saw, turned it into a screenplay, which was turned into a movie, which is now available for viewing. So here in this community on Veterans Day on November 11th, we're going to hold a special screening at the Clune. We'll invite all community members. So I think beginning of next week we'll start the promotional campaign, and then in lieu of doing any kind of fundraising, we're asking viewers to come and donate socks that we can pass along to the Socks for Soldiers Club, or balls that we can pass along to the Kick for Nick Foundation. So we're very excited to have that opportunity. And then just so people know, I viewed the movie. It is rated R, and it's rated R for the language at the start of the movie. And so these are soldiers at war, and so some of the language in the first few minutes is pretty salty, as you might expect. And so just fair warning to folks who come to see. There's a moment, so I wouldn't bring small kids. But for the rest of us, it's a powerful movie, and an important message, and I think really highlights the struggles of veterans and highlights, you know, the amazing work that is being done to support them as they reintegrate into life here after the time in the military. And Stephen will be here. Right, so we're going to do a reception, is it from 5 to 6? And then the screening. Yeah, so all that information will go out, but we're excited, very excited to host. That's it.
And you folded in the committee report,
I did.
yes, on operations, and I believe that's the only committee that's met since our last.
We've had a communications meeting back in September that I didn't report on at the last meeting.
Do you want to do it now, or do you want to do it next go around?
If there's a lot of them, we can do it next time.
Why don't we add it to the agenda for next time? That's
Okay.
good. Yeah. Financial report, done.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone. Well, September is only a few days of actual school time that we have financial reports for you. I'll start with the appropriation for the year is a little over $89 million. To date, through the end of September, we have approximately 27.6 of that either spent or encumbered. We do expect to stay within appropriations at this time. We're not asking for a freeze, which if you remember last year with all of the uncertainties that we were experiencing, we froze the budget around, I think it was September 24th. That's not the case. We do have two areas that we are watching. We're actually watching all the areas, but we're watching the special education lines again, the out-district tuition. Even though right now you'll see that the expenses are about $930,000 over budget. We have the $1.2 million that we expect to receive from the state of Connecticut from the excess cost reimbursement. Hopefully we get a little bit more, and it'll cover some more expenses that we have. But the good news in that area is that the population in the student the special education area seems to be stabilizing, especially outplacement. So hopefully we can stay within budget or stay within an area that the rest of the budget can still cover the cost of. And then unfortunately, only about 23 days into the school year, we have our first facilities unbudgeted situation that is going to cost us a little bit of money, but Dr. Smith had already talked about that. Those numbers are not in this report, and the reason that we don't have them in this report at this time is because we don't know what the exact numbers are. But once we do have that information, you'll see a single line item in there for those expenses, and if any other, it'll can accumulate as the expenses, should there be more expenses that go on. That way we can track it. And similar to what we had done last year with the cider mill, the power surge, and that we had kept those lines separate out of the budget. Hopefully, we'll get coverage for that and not have to worry about covering it with regular appropriations. Other than that, I can say that the good news is that when we did budget last year, our utilities were high, and we anticipated budgeting at what the cost was then. So we don't feel that we'll be over budget in that area. We hope that that's going to be within budget, and it seems like everything is stabilizing in that area as well. And we budget a $400,000 negative amount in our budget for turnover, staff turnover, that we make up based on as salaries, a lot larger, more veteran individuals leave, their salaries are higher, younger individuals come in and their salaries are a little bit lower. We are about 3/4 of the way at meeting that 400,000. So as we may have some more turnover, anything beyond that 400,000 is a plus and a help to the budget. So it's all the good and bad of the September financials at this point.
Do you guys know, does our insurance cover anything? Is it going to cover any of?
That's it. I don't think so. Maybe we should call and just make the inquiry.
We let them know that there was a situation. I'm not sure if it will. I haven't seen them reach back like they had done with the cider mill when we had the coil leak.
Right. Yeah, we can verify.
Can we just check?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks.
see, we also have the transfers here. Is there anything notable in the transfers?
Nothing notable in the transfers,
Okay.
just it's kind of routine start of the year. This morning during the operations, there was just one large one that I flagged for folks that was for $36,000. That was a planned transfer as we were covering the cost of the interventions that Bristol, we had made the choice to reduce the teacher's college contract. And so what you see is the reduction in the cost of the contract and the move of that money to the interventions line.
Thank you, Dr. And now we move to review and discuss. And we have a slew of 6141, so if I can invite
What do you want? Donald, Mr. Keating, and
Dr. Donald Keating, Keating and company.
We have Monsieur Berlenzi and Senor Alberti as well.
Great, so thank you. We normally do our 6141 presentations in November, so thanks for being flexible and joining us here in October.
So thank you for reviewing and considering these requests. This is part of our process to envision and offer a contemporary rigorous curriculum here at the high school, through which our students certainly demonstrate the attributes of our Wilton Public Schools Portrait of a Graduate. We have 7 new courses. In advance, I just want to thank the teachers and the instructional leaders. There's a lot of research and planning and writing that goes into these courses that is not really indicated even in what you're reading in these 6141s. You know, our teachers are so talented, the instructional leaders in researching courses and trying to keep things contemporary. It's a pretty deep process, and we're just very proud of what we have to offer here at the high school to our students. So a couple of prime examples of that, Adam and Simon, veteran teachers, and as I was remarking with them earlier, these courses you're about to hear about, not every teacher can teach these courses. Their knowledge of language, culture, history, art history, contemporary events, community, the 5 C's of languages, they're so skilled, and we get to watch what they do every day with our students in admiration and respect, and you'll see why tonight. So Adam's going to start with our new ECE course, and then we'll turn it over to Simon. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share our course proposals with you. So the course that I have for you tonight is UConn ECE, it's Intermediate Spanish Composition. And just a little bit of the genesis of the course. Currently, we offer UConn Spanish EC Culture and Conversation, and it's a full year course. It's Spanish 3179 for UConn. So what this would be is, this is in addition to that course. So what we would do is, we would string out both courses over the entire year, 1 semester for each one. And what this course is going to allow us to do is, it's going to bring more rigor to our curriculum. We feel like our kids, I've been teaching this course for 3 years, our kids are ready for a little bit more rigor in the UConn ECE. So this is going to not only give us the culture and the conversation part of it, but now it's going to give us a writing curriculum as well. So it's going to expand the culture and the content that we can cover, but it's also going to give us the opportunity to explore it through different mediums. So right now, the course is very conversationally based, which is fantastic, and we're going to maintain that. But now we're going to add this writing element into it as well, which I think is going to be fantastic for the kids. It's also going to allow us to explore writing in a different way, languages that they haven't had as much exposure to. So we can explore things like expository writing, creative writing, doing some literary analysis, where the majority of the writing they've been doing up until now has been mostly interpersonal and presentational. So we're going to be able to explore more avenues with it. Many of our students have reported over the last few years they're being able to successfully transfer the UConn credits to the colleges where they're going, which is great for them. And now this course, instead of being 3 credits, will be 6. Which is, I think that's just amazing. At it's $150 for 3 credits, so it's $300 for 6 credits. With what colleges and universities cost these days, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And, we're really excited about it. I think it's a win-win for us. We're accessing more credits for our kids, but we're also giving them more opportunities to learn and to grow, access more content, and develop their skills. And our partnership with UConn is great. The professors there have to approve our courses. It's a rigorous process, to apply with them and have them really look over what we're doing. They come in and conduct classroom visits. We meet with them on Zoom. We have to attend professional development at UConn each year, so the maintenance and the growth of the course year over year is very important to us and to them. And it's really created a robust curriculum, and we're very proud of it. So to add this into our offerings would be very exciting.
Amazing. So 6 credits after a year if you're successful.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
And if
We're
colleges
looking at
are
college
accepting it.
tuitions. Mhm.
And does one follow the other, or can you just do one semester?
Typically, one would follow the other. If we have students that have a scheduling conflict, or they're doubling up on science and they were only able to take one, we can accommodate that. So one of the courses will be in one semester, and then the other one will be in the second semester. But I feel like most kids will just take one and then move into the other one. But it does create a little bit of wiggle room, which may allow a couple of students to access the course that may not have been able to before, which would be nice.
Most students don't want the 4 years for the college process. We recognize that. So, but you could take one semester back. Yeah.
You were mentioning the AP Lit course, that it doesn't always run based on numbers. So do you think that this is going to take away that course, or do you
No,
envision-
so I'm actually teaching the AP Literature course this year, and it's a great course, and what it really is, the AP Literature course is the equivalency of a first semester junior level college course. It's very, very high level. And so typically the students that access AP Literature follow the path of taking Spanish 4 or 5 honors in their sophomore year, and then they'll take AP Spanish Language in their junior year, and then they'll move on to take AP Spanish Literature. So those kids that are in AP Spanish Literature have already usually earned the credits for the AP Language course, so they really end up with similar crediting. It's just over 2 years with 2 different courses. Our AP and the UConn curriculums don't they don't match up like they do in some other subject areas, so the content is different.
Okay. Do
So
you-
it's different track of kids is what you're saying?
It
Does
could
that
be-
make sense?
Yeah, it can be. It really, a lot of kids will make their choice based on, what their interests are in the language. Some kids want to access the literary component of it more. Some kids want to access the conversation part of it more. A lot of it is a balancing act with the other classes that they're taking and making decisions that are really in their best interest.
And it's just been so many years, unfortunately, since I took an AP exam. Is it still dependent on your scores at up to 3 credits that colleges usually give, so the credit is, okay.
And I presume the 150 is the credit fee that goes for the UConn component of the course. And if there's a child in our schools who would like to avail themselves of the opportunity but isn't financially able, we have resources.
We definitely find a way.
And UConn also has resources for that as well.
Great. Thank you.
Sounds terrific.
Okay, Simon, our French course.
Bonsoir tout le monde. I promise I'm not going to say what I have to say in French.
Please.
I'm Simon Mulenzi. I teach French and Spanish at the high school. This is my 3rd year at Wilton High School. I was at Middlebrook for 18 years before that. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about my inspiration for this proposal. And it's really twofold. On one side, it's Adam that inspired me a lot. Adam and Christy both teach an EC course. He teaches Spanish, as I said, and she teaches German. And just the way they talk about it, their passion and how the course has changed their view of presenting information to the students and reaching that higher level really inspired me to maybe look into it. And I was able to visit Adam's class twice last year, and I was so impressed by how the kids have stretched in their knowledge, and the kids that I had in 8th grade could speak so well and do so much with the language. So I also went to UConn in March with Maria Coleman for recruiting teachers, and I was able to touch base with Florence Marsal, who's the coordinator for the UConn ECE for French, and she said Simon Wilton needs an ECE course for French, and I couldn't agree more. And so having that connection with her and like her inspiration and what she said about it just made me think I should really look into it more. My biggest source of inspiration is the students. I've been with some of the students since 7th grade. I've seen them in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, and I know what they can do with the language. They are phenomenal students. I'm a little biased because I'm French, but French students are really into the language. Like it's a passion. They stay with it. And the other thing, most of our students have had French since 3rd grade. So I feel like giving them such a beautiful experience at the end of their career that would give them 3 credits would be something that we should really look into. And they want this course. They want communication. They want to speak. They want to be able to leave Wilton High School and say, you know, I took French for that many years and I can speak it, instead of saying, I took French for 7 years and I can't say a word. Because they can say words. They can say a lot. And I feel like this would be the next step for those kids who would not necessarily take AP, because this course would happen at the same time as the AP course, but kids that really want to know more about modern life and modern communication in French. One of the topics we'll be looking into would be social media in French, film, literature, theater, art, debate. Debating is an inborn talent in France. My whole family knows how to debate. You should come to a Christmas dinner. We could last for hours. And debating is a great skill to have. It's part of the graduate, you know, the leader. And so for all those reasons, I really recommend this amazing course that's really going to take our kids to the next level. And also ran a survey among the juniors and the seniors to find out their interest, and a lot of them would be interested in it.
So Sam, what's the course sequence to move into the course?
So it would be senior year, like you, after either 5 or 5 honors, you could go into AP or take the UConn course. But something else that's happening, we have kids that are native speakers, and when they come to us at the high school, they start at the level 4. So as juniors, they take the AP course, and then they're left with nothing. Right now, we have 4 kids that would have nothing to take at their senior year if things continue the way they are. So it's not a majority, but it happens, and it's something that we should consider.
Can you guys both speak a little bit about not having FTE implications? So we're talking about adding, but we're not.
Yeah, in terms of the Spanish, and I'll default to Brian a little bit. In terms of the Spanish, we would be looking at not adding FTEs. It could potentially just be a redistribution of the numbers. Not adding sections, but it may be some kids that would have taken AP may take UConn, or vice versa. You know, the UConn course will fluctuate between 1 section or 2 sections, but if we're running 2 sections of UConn, it's 1 less section of AP. So it's just the numbers get redistributed. You know, amongst what we have as a whole.
Sure, and I would add, because of the prerequisites that are natural in the world language courses, we're only talking about a certain number of students that get there every year. So if it's 40 students, if we add these courses, we're talking about, instead of having 2 sections of AP French or 2 sections of the AP Spanish or the other ECE for Spanish, they might split up. And so it wouldn't increase the total number of FTE, but it might redistribute the students into the 2 courses instead of 1.
Okay, so there'll definitely be some shift with the students, but I guess you guys both felt that some of our kids like a challenge, but maybe not necessarily an AP challenge. That's the thought behind. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great year.
Thank you.
Dave?
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. Dr. Willock, our instructional leader for social studies, he does a great job leading the department to talk about area studies and AP Psych.
So I have 2 courses to present to you, and if it's okay, I'll just present them. Give you an opportunity for questions, then I'll talk about the second. The first is AP Psychology, which is a course that people have been talking about for a long time. around here in our department, but I think students as well. There's a demand for it. We already have students who are taking AP Psychology virtually. So we believe there's a need in our school for this class. We're going to offer it to 11th and 12th graders. It will be a full year course. And students are going to learn a ton of information. If you look at the 6141, they're going to study the scientific foundations of psychology, the biological bases of behavior, sensation and perception, learning, cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, motivation, emotion, clinical psychology, and social psychology. That is a lot to get through by May when the AP exam is administered, but we really believe we can do it. I think this put this in line with a lot of our third day counterpart schools, and we're really excited to offer it if you decide to approve the course. So with that brief explanation, I'll take any questions that you have.
You were talking about general background, and it's talking about the one semester psych course that there's high enrollment. What is high enrollment? How many kids?
I want to say we offer
Coming up.
3-4 sections.
Thanks.
So we offer senior electives, psychology, our semester psychology course is open to juniors and seniors, as this course will also be open to juniors and seniors, but it's typically seniors that take it. So our thinking is that some of those students will shift from taking the semester-long regular class to taking the year-long AP class. I also think that some students will probably move from taking AP Government into taking AP Psychology. So we have, I think, 5 sections of AP Government this year.
And we had 89 students request AP Psychology this year, 59 for Sociology, which usually is the tandem if you sign up for the Introduction to Psychology. Often, not always, but often you take Sociology in the opposite semester. So you're looking at, how many students can actually fit it in their schedule. It's 3 to 5 sections, so it's like 2.5 sections if you think about it on a yearly basis right now for where we put those students.
Okay.
If that, and if you wanted to think about it differently, we have roughly every year somewhere around 75 to 90 students wanting to take the Intro to Psychology semester course. And usually the Sociology is commensurate, similar.
Okay.
This says that will create a need for additional FTE, so.
So I think I can talk about that one. I do think that I agree with Dr. Willock in that this will pull some students, right? So those who were taking the Introduction to AP Psychology or Sociology will say, oh, well, now that it's offered at an AP level, I have an interest for this, and that's going to be great. I do think, though, the popularity of AP Psychology courses across different schools in Connecticut, certainly, but here I think there's going to be strong interest. It's a high interest content area in a popular discipline. Social studies usually has a lot of students looking for that 4th year. So I do think that there's a real possibility that students who may have opted for other electives will seek this one. And as Dr. Willock was mentioning, we do have a partnership for a certain number of seats every year with Virtual High School. So some students who can't fit a course that we, or let me say it differently, if we don't offer a course but they have interest, we have a certain number of seats that we do pay for or budget for and sign students up. We're going to probably have no need for the high number of seats that we take with VHS because we'll be offering it here. So we know that every year we have a number of students that sign up for the VHS AP Psychology course. In addition to that, we've had a number of students ask to sign up for the AP Psychology course, but once we run out of our number of budgeted seats, that's it, we close it, we can't. So there are a handful of students and families who pay for that VHS AP Psychology course on their own. So I do think that this is going to have interest.
Do you have a best guess in terms of just staffing implications? Are you thinking another 0.2, 0.5, 1.0 that we mash together from part-time folks?
It would really be just a guess because we don't have necessarily anything in the past to base it off of, but again, agreeing with Dave that we're going to siphon off some students from AP Intro to Psychology into AP Psychology, and then not lose all that interest in the Intro to Psychology, but add this and have those students leave the VHS and have other students who just turned away from a social studies elective to take another one their senior year. I would say that I anticipate at least one section. I wouldn't be surprised if we have enough for 2 sections.
I also think students that are taking AP Government now, they're going to have a choice. Do I want to take government? Am I really interested in psychology? They're going to do that.
And if that's the case, then there may be no FTE implication. If we siphon off many from AP Government, but I think we have a large number of students who are interested in social studies. And so I think that it might be that we're going to have more asking for it than just simply substituting.
Sure. I know one child who would be very anxious to take this class.
Maybe she should explore her anxiousness.
Mm.
Just confirming, you don't have to take the intro course to take the AP course.
Nope.
And then, can you ballpark how much we set aside for the remote class, for the VHS seats? You can tell me later.
We can get you the number, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in our budget book, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get it to you.
I think I want to say it's like 3K. We used to have a staff member who would teach a virtual high school class, and then we would be given seats, and then that just didn't work out well. So now we've just kind of retained. I think I'm going to say it's about 3,000.
And it's recently been a flat number. It doesn't fluctuate for how many students we purchased a number of seats and we fill them. So we can give you the exact number of what it costs.
The majority of requests have been AP Psych.
Yes.
So there's a need.
Every year, it's been about 75% of our seats go to AP Psychology.
Thank you. And I just had one other question, just because I was looking at the instructional resources and the textbooks, and then the hard copy versus the digital copy. I was just wondering, what is the shelf life of a textbook?
Well, I think it depends on the class. A lot of classes, we have the textbooks, but we don't distribute them to students because we use them in the room, but we use them fairly sparingly. If you're thinking about, should we consider digital textbooks instead, they typically come with like a 6-year license.
Right.
Whereas if we buy the hard copy, we can keep it for more than 6 years. So I think it's more cost effective that way to do it. The books we typically order, the most of our AP government books, every 4 years or so, we're trying to order at least in a couple sets of those to keep up with current events.
Right, so that's why I was just curious about, like, how often they need to be updated for current events versus like the shelf life, in terms of that type of shelf life, compared to the digital license that, it's like every 6 years you have to renew it. But is it wrong of me? Well, I shouldn't presume. When you buy a digital license, do they update it in real time? Okay.
Yes.
You want to jump into area studies?
Honors, area studies. Okay, so this is a semester-long class for juniors and seniors. I'm a history teacher, so I'll give you a little history lesson. So we have in our program of studies, area studies classes. It used to be a graduation requirement. So to graduate, you have to take this semester-long area studies course. Latin American studies, African studies, Russian studies, Asian studies. Since we've changed our sequence and it's no longer a requirement, those courses have atrophied. Student enrollment has dropped down. So our proposal with this class is to remove all of the area studies classes from the program of studies and replace them with this singular honors level area studies course. And the curriculum, I think, will be quite unique and maybe sets us apart from other schools in the district. Students will be able to pick what they're interested in. I'm interested in a certain country or a certain region. And with the guidance of the teacher, they're going to be able to pursue that interest within the framework of whatever unit we're talking about, whether it's history or culture or politics or whatever we decide we're going to write up in the summer during our curriculum time. So I really think for students that they don't want to fill their schedule up with a year-long AP class, maybe they're in an honors class right now with social studies and they want to continue that. We don't have an offering at the honors level for seniors, so this is going to give them a place to go. So we're really super excited about this because it's going to really provide some unique opportunities for students to pursue their personal interests.
So they choose a country or a discipline or?
So it could be a country or it could be a region, and it could vary unit by unit. So maybe you want to learn about the history of one country, but you want to learn about the culture of another. The course will allow the flexibility for students
To do
that.
both?
Yes.
Is this a year-long course?
Semester.
Semester.
Are we not running any of the current area studies
We have not,
classes?
I think 2 years ago was the last time we ran one section of Asian studies.
Correct. We've been offering them, and the enrollment gets fragmented, and there's not enough to run a section of it. So there's some demand, and I think this is a way to concentrate it and meet, hopefully, the demand of all these students who may be interested in the aforementioned 4 courses we used to offer.
Yep.
So that's our intention. I'm excited about it, too. I think it's going to be a good opportunity for our students.
The choice might also allow kids to connect with their capstone or their other projects to pursue in that way as well.
And the staffing comment that there would be no impact. So we're not running any of those courses, but we're going to add something. So where are we pulling staff from?
I think it will probably come from our other senior electives. So if it's the law class, or if it's our sociology class or a psychology class, if we're going to pull from there is what I'm anticipating.
And the difference that I would say between that and the draw for AP Psychology is that AP Psychology across the state is just a much more popular course. It's just much more attractive for high school students for whatever reason, that more students know that they're interested in psychology or they want to dabble in it and figure it out before they go on to college. Whereas area studies or something of any of these regions is a little bit more particular. So I think that we'll be pulling more from students who are already in electives rather than someone saying, oh, that's now being offered for the first time. It's not really a new content for us, whereas AP Psychology, you could make a case it is.
So basically, we're going to offer all these courses, and whoever has the most people wanting to take it, that course wins.
So every year I sit
this is kind
down with Brian after students register, and we look to see how many students registered for a given class. And with the area studies, students have registered, but just not enough to warrant running the course.
I want to say 2 years ago, we had 2 students sign up for one of the area studies courses, so we didn't fund it. Last year was a little bit more than that, but not enough to run it. So I think that, and the other thing about that too is we alternate those years. So it's not always Asian studies every year. It's Asian studies one year, then the next year it could be Russian studies. So there's already a division and a flipping of it. So this has a chance of pulling it together and allowing for some differentiation within the classroom for the students as well.
And that's typical of electives in a high school environment. You know, the students speak with their interests and what they want to pursue, and it's a good system. And then you have to make difficult decisions about what we can run and sometimes what we can't. And the point I always like to make is we stay within our FTE allotment, and we're very thoughtful about it and very almost scientific, really. Yeah.
You guys have always been good at it.
So how many would you need to run this? 10, 12 kids?
I would defer to Brian for that.
We definitely would not consider it if it was less than that.
I think under current conditions, 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Great job. Good luck.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea.
I like the interdisciplinary connections as well. Yeah, no, fantastic.
So 2 points here. First of all, we have Christian Willem here, who's one of our very skilled math teachers, but also minored in computer science, and he's doing a great job with some of these courses here. And Fran, of course, is right here. Fran has been one of the leaders of our STEM curriculum review. So Fran, thanks for being here. She's going to talk a little bit about the next 3 courses, and then Christian, there we go.
All right, well, thank you very much. I am very pleased to be here to talk about this. As you all probably know, we had our digital STEM curriculum review over the last 2 years. Last year's focus was really on computer science. That's why we are actually here. One of the results was the iSTEM course that we now are running at Middlebrook that is designed to focus on giving students at the middle school level an experience in coding, which then nicely falls into what we talked about as a STEM curriculum committee, that we needed to really look at our offerings at the high school and ensure that we had the proper sequence of courses and offerings that a program should have. So when we looked at it, we looked at the enrollment, we looked at all of the things that were happening, and we looked at also the fact that computer science as a major in colleges is a very popular major, that going forward into career, this was really very important. And what we were currently offering that Christian does an incredible job with, an AP Computer Science A course, data structures and algorithms. I always get that wrong. So, but that was good, but it wasn't really the kind of course sequence that we were really looking for. So we came up with, based on some of the comparative data and just basically some work through the committee, the idea that we wanted to introduce these 3 courses that Christian will be able to talk about. The 3 are AP Computer Science Principles, Cybersecurity 1 and 2. And we really think that this is going to be a nice sequence to offer for our computer science program. So I am very pleased to have Christian talk about the courses. He, by the way, has been a tremendous help in this whole process. He's been helping with the middle school folks. We've been sort of like, getting the team together, and we actually have a little STEM team now that we get together during PD days and that sort of thing. And so he is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm just going to give it away to him now.
Thank you very much. And, yes, I'm Christian Willem. I've been a teacher in Wilton for 18 years now, math and mostly computer science. Now, the first course is AP Computer Science Principles, not to be confused with AP Computer Science A, which is a course we currently have. But the new class, the Principles class, is an introductory college course to introduce the breadth of the computer science field. It's based on the AP computational thinking practices, which include things like responsible computing, code analysis, algorithm development. The idea is to deploy the course with the code.org curriculum. For many of the units, the code.org curriculum is free. It's aligned with the CSTA standards, the computer science standards, and the AP computational thinking practices. The platform provides many activities, obviously programming activities, but other unplugged activities such as researching computing innovations, looking at past and historical events through case studies and technology. Some of the differences between the course that we currently offer and the Principles course is that the AP Computer Science A course, which we have 70 students currently enrolled in, it mandates that you use Java. That's the language of the test. Principles does not require a specific language to be taught for the test. So my idea is to use Python for that, because many students are asking and interested in learning Python already, and it's a very popular computer programming language. So in order to deliver that content, we'll be using the Carnegie Mellon CS Academies platform, which is also free and allows us to introduce Python in a graphical application. So it'll be pretty interesting for many of the students. It also allows students to work at different paces so that it can really meet a need for diverse students, some that are more advanced or have experience versus those that don't. And if you take both AP courses in a sequence, then you'll come away knowing 2 programming languages, which I think contributes to being a contemporary multiliterate scholar in the portrait of the graduate. This course is already offered in most surrounding towns, Darien, New Canaan, Staples, Richfield. One of the key things about it is it'll provide an earlier entry point for some students into the STEM pathway, because the prerequisites are less restrictive than AP Computer Science A. So if more students are able to take computer programming at an earlier stage, we might see some growth in the later courses, because students will have more confidence that they can perform in these rigorous type of classes. Another thing that's different between the Principles course and the A course is the exam itself, the AP exam. The A exam is completely timed, pencil and paper. The principal's exam has one portion that is timed, pencil and paper, but the other portion, students can work individually or collaborate on a unique program that they create, and they submit that kind of like a portfolio piece, along with a written commentary demonstrating that their program met the goals of the course. And they do that during class time in the spring, which obviously seems like a good artifact for the capstone portfolio for students at WHS. So those are some similarities, some differences of the two courses, and hopefully we'll be able to get this one on board.
Kristen, what year can students enroll in this? Could you
Well, when we're looking at the sequence and pathway,
Yeah.
Right now, some students start AP Computer Science A in 10th grade, but some students have to wait till 11th because they haven't met the prerequisite. So some students will be able to start in 10th grade in this.
Okay, that's
We have discussed, I mean, there's potential for potential maybe for freshmen in the future once we get comfortable. It's one of the few AP courses that I've seen offered. I wouldn't start with that, but it's something to consider.
It's allowed.
Yeah, that's amazing.
No, I really took to this one. I love the combination of the project base
Yeah.
and the traditional, and that it really can start kids much younger and give them more of a pathway. And then I just, in terms of kind of like vertical integration, in terms of like what's going on in Middlebrook, it was really great that you were saying that you now have this group that's like working across the schools and seeing that, you know, there's a possibility to be in 9th grade, and that I guess it's teacher recommended even for 10th grade.
Yeah, well, usually it's either a recommendation, they'll speak to me, or it depends on their math prerequisite.
Okay.
Just that's kind of advised by the College Board,
Yeah.
what math they should have taken in order to.
Yeah. But I think it's great that we're kind of building a stairway across the schools, and
It was really good.
Yeah.
I met with the two Middlebrook STEM teachers on the PD day. We discussed, you know, traded ideas, looked at things we could do. So we'd like to build that capacity over time.
They're using some of the same programs, I think the Replete program
Yeah.
that
Yeah, we're trying
Danielle Bonger is using with the younger kids is something that carries over into the high school as well.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the good things that came out of the curriculum review.
Yeah.
You guys as teachers were talking about a big gap, but the students also came and they talked about how big a gap there was and what they were lacking, what they would like to have. So thank you for putting it all together. I have my same question I always ask. The FTE.
Yeah.
What are we talking
Well,
about?
So I think that, again, if you think about our progression here, right, there's only a finite number of students that would be ready to go into those world language courses. AP psychology, it's going to be a high-interest class. It's going to draw from a lot of people who haven't yet signed up for it. It's going to be a good entry-level AP course for students who haven't yet taken an AP course. I think that we have enough students in this high school who really gravitate towards the computer science course that we have right now and follow the track. I don't mean to make it a cult of personality here, but with Christian. And I do see that that group will also be interested in any other computer science course that we offer. So I don't know that this will just substitute for what we already have. I think this is going to generate more interest. That's the anticipation, because there's enough of a groundswell of students who like this technology.
So are you thinking like a 1.5, too early to speculate?
I would imagine that it would be safe to say we would have one section of this next year.
Okay.
It's possible with the popularity of AP computer science course that we've had and how that's been growing, that we could start off with 2 sections of this, but I think it would be safe to say that it would be another section, one section.
I think that there's a good cohort of students who they should probably still enter the pathway at AP Computer Science A because of their advanced level. I think that would be, so I don't think it would, some of these students aren't going to take this AP class probably. They'd still start with the traditional one that we've had.
Sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you.
All right, so the next one is cybersecurity 1 and 2. So it's a course that's going to be broken into 2 semesters, mostly just for maybe student convenience if they're towards the tail end of high school and they're trying to fit things in their schedule. They might just take 1 semester, or they could continue on to the second as well. The idea here is that obviously cyber threat is increasing as internet usage increases, so having good cyber security education is becoming pretty important. And one of the important parts is having it in a hands-on lab environment, because obviously they're going to understand better if they're actually seeing how it's applied in a real system, which is part of the curriculum that we're choosing to implement the course has that aspect. Some of the topics we're going to look at are digital forensic tools, encryption and cryptography, authentication and security protocols, malware and cyber attacks, network security, all very relevant things. The curriculum is developed by cyber.org, who partnered with the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is the federal lead on cybersecurity in the country. And it's based on the K-12 cybersecurity learning standards, which has just been created by code.org with the Cybersecurity Security Agency, so we'll be following those. The curriculum comes with a free access to what's called a cyber range, which is a virtual environment that students can use to simulate attacks and to simulate defending attacks, to learn about different types of operating systems. They'll be exposed to the Linux operating system in 2 varieties, which is something that's used quite heavily in cybersecurity. Also Windows and Windows Server virtual machines that they'll be able to interact with as well, which is nice that that's free, because that can be a costly type of thing to have to subscribe to. As I already said, that it's going to be broken into 2 semesters. If someone were to take both semesters and with a little bit of extra self-study, they would be able to take the CompTIA Security Plus certification exam on their own. Because this course is not only aligned to the cybersecurity learning standards, but also to the CompTIA exam standards. So that would be a possibility. In terms of student interest, there was a cybersecurity club recently formed the other day, and they had 10 people at their first meeting, it was like the day after the club fair. I've had students in the past have independent studies in cybersecurity, so there's obviously interest in there. And in terms of the course it would be pretty unique to Wilton. There's not many area schools that offer it in the dirt. West Hill High School is probably the one that offers the most robust computer science program in the area. And I know they're not in the dirt, but they do offer it. And I have some contacts there that I can reach out to for supplemental support. And just like the data structures course, which we introduced about 5 years ago now, which was also somewhat unique for the area at the time, I'm having students come back now from computer science majors with real elite colleges, and they're saying that course really helped them focus their area of study to computer science. It helped them have a leg up on their peers, and I feel like this could have the same effect, that students that are interested in pursuing cybersecurity will have an option that other schools in the area don't necessarily have, and it could give them an advantage in the future career paths.
It's great that we're offering more APs. As a parent of a computer science major, I was surprised at how many of his contemporaries in college have a lot more AP credits and computer science related stuff. So it's great that this is on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think this is great too, that it can lead to a certificate or
that's
some
really nice.
alternative career pathway. And
Yeah, I think when we were talking about building out the sequence and the pathway, we needed some kind of specializations at the end. That was one of the things that we were missing, and so I would anticipate this mostly being taken by upperclassmen after they've taken at least one of the AP classes in programming. And then some might take it instead of the data structures class, some might take it after. Because we have had situations the last few years where, let's say there's 10 students that have already taken what we have to offer and have nothing to take senior year. So this would be a good continuation for those that are interested.
And so, are there prerequisites for this?
The more I think about it, I think that having some programming experience would definitely be helpful. So I think that taking one of the 2 AP courses previously would serve well.
Okay.
And there's also a little bit of math in terms of like the encryption and cryptography. So that we might have to just be cautious and look and see, how they're performing in that aspect, but nothing major, not like calculus or anything.
The FTE on this, you anticipating one section?
Well,
So I would describe this one the same way that I described the other one. I think that we have enough students that will be interested, and try to figure out a way to get this no matter what. So I do expect that we'll have at least one section, and where that comes from. Could it be that we're just pulling from other departments? Will a few kids take a few less electives elsewhere? It's possible, but I think that with the different requirements they have, this is just going to be an addition. So I would say one section for both courses, right? I think we're going to fill a cybersecurity 1 and a cybersecurity 2. So it'll be the equivalent of a full year course. That would be my anticipation for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
Yes.
Can I just also say, isn't it impressive how sublime his understanding of just about everything is? It's amazing to listen to him.
Thank you very much.
All the time.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Yeah, you too. Thank
I was
you.
in Kristen's computer science class, and I said to him afterwards, you remember this? I said, I know they're speaking English. I have no idea what they're saying.
So you said you have a kid that would be psychology, I have a kid that would be, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the board, we have talked about, first of all, I think, if we just wind back the clock, we have, reduced FTE at the high school for the last, I think, 3 consecutive years as enrollment has tapered a little bit. But we have an opportunity to invest now, and we've got another really great slate of courses. We know we have a need in the computer science arena. We know there's high demand in psychology. We're about to hear about another AP class, which I think if all of these are approved and they're run, that brings a number to like, am I right, 27 total APs? And we'll have, I think, 18 ECE courses. So the opportunities we're providing our students to earn college credit while in high school,
I think is great.
probably doubled since I've been here,
Yeah.
Including these courses, which is really, really impressive.
What is the cost of an AP exam these days?
Oh, you know what?
Depends on if you register late or not. I paid
What'd you
$200
pay last year? What'd you pay per
email in
last year?
November. I
What'd you
think
pay
it's
per?
it's 100.
$100.
So
About 100.
if you're late, it's 200.
You got the honor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. For being late?
Still upset with my son for that one.
Laura asked that last time. I'll get you the exact cost this year, because we actually did raise it a little bit. So I will, but by tomorrow, you will know that exact number.
You can have till Monday, though.
Yeah, and the ECE fee is 150.
Yeah.
Ours is a little, yeah.
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 Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Christian. And our final presenter? Fran, you can introduce
Okay,
Tara.
sure. All right, well, I'm very happy to also introduce Tara Peterson. She is one of the 2 library media specialists here at the high school. What she's going to talk about is actually also a result of her digital learning and STEM review. Essentially, last year, you heard about the AP seminar course, which is now running. It's an interdisciplinary course that has students practicing research and collaboration, and it's high-level academic research. There is a second year of it for students who are taking currently AP seminar or will take it in the future. There's a second year of this, which is AP research, which is what Tara's going to talk about. My favorite part, just before you describe this, is that in addition to the students actually pursuing their own independent topic of interest, they have to actually defend their paper like a dissertation or a PhD candidate has to do. So really real-life, authentic type of experience. And with that, I'm very happy to give it over to Tara.
Thank you. So I am teaching one section of AP Seminar. I absolutely love it. I have a great group of inquisitive and positive students, some of whom have already asked if we are going to be offering AP Research next year. So AP Research, as Fran just said, is for the student who successfully completes AP Seminar and wants to pursue additional research, but in an independent and passion project situation. So the AP Research students will apply the skills that they acquired in AP Seminar to their own research project of their choosing. So they choose a current topic of interest, they get the topic approved by the teacher, and then they spend the year choosing their method of data collection or information collection. They select their sources, they evaluate the credibility of the sources, they synthesize, they come up with their own argument and propose solutions and recommendations for future study. This all is presented in a 4,000 to 5,000 word academic paper that they create. Then, as Fran said, they have to do an oral defense of their work in front of a panel of teachers and hopefully invited community members as well. Most students don't have the opportunity for this kind of work until possibly graduate school. So this is really for the students who are passionate about something that they want to learn more about and apply those research skills in an independent fashion. Independent, but it's also a class of students, so there's a lot of peer review and kind of helping and tossing ideas out in that kind of form. But the work is independent.
So it follows this the seminar.
Yes.
So how early can you take the seminar?
So seminar can be taken as a sophomore.
Okay.
I have a few sophomores. It would be, you could take seminar sophomore, junior, or senior year, but preferably it would be sophomore or junior year so that you have the opportunity to follow it up with research either your junior or senior year. You have to take seminar in order to take research.
How many students do you currently have taking?
I have 10.
Is that, you're teaching one section?
I'm only, yes, I'm teaching one
Is it just you as Ken teaching one as well?
It's just the one section.
Can you speak a little bit about, you guys were talking about if there's more students taking it, the time away from the rest of the staff. So how much time do you guys have in person with our students, and how much prep time do you guys need that takes away from the time that you're supporting the other staff?
So this year, because it's the first time I'm teaching the course, there's quite a bit of prep time, which will not be, which will not happen next year because I'll have the course. It'll need tweaking, but the prep time won't be there as much as it is this year. We teach flight first semester only. So second semester, we're really freed up to spend time with teachers and to teach our courses. Ken and I have a great balance of the work that comes in. If he's teaching when a teacher needs our help, then I will jump in and we coordinate that together to make it work so that we're available for the teachers and their classes as well as our own classes.
Okay. So you guys are confident this can work?
We are confident this can work, yes.
Does it meet on a regular class schedule?
AP Research?
Yeah.
It will, however, there is a lot of independent work.
Right.
So some of it can be, I know we talked about kind of remote learning with this being a possibility. We do want to have the students, there would be small enrollment. There are only a certain number of students who are eligible to take the class. But they would really benefit from bouncing ideas off of each other in that environment. But there's also a lot of independent work as well. So it could be flexible in that way.
How often do you guys meet in person for AP Seminar?
It's a full block. It's one block every other day. It's a full block and it's all year.
You have 2 students here, right?
I was gonna. So I'm very fortunate to have 2 students here. One is here, one is here.
Yeah, downstairs.
But yes. we're having a good time and learning a lot and working hard. And I'm really excited about being able to focus on the skills of research, specifically without the content element, to really delve into what the students are interested in, but learning those skills, applying them to an area of interest.
I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, me too.
Something that I would have loved. I'll take it now.
I was thinking the same thing.
I would love that. We would
Seriously.
love that. And I would be asking for your help with the oral defense panel, for sure, because
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And then I was curious because I saw that AP capstone certificate component to it. Has there been an interest in that? Has anybody expressed interest, or I'm just curious,
So,
or how much,
students that-
or how much follows on, after?
So when we looked into the AP seminar class now 2 years ago, we heard from teachers at schools that offer it that there's about a 50% retention rate between AP seminar and AP research. But a number of the students I have now know about this because they say they have friends at other schools who have it, and that's why they're interested in it, and they want to earn the AP capstone diploma, which you can earn if you successfully complete seminar and research, and you also score a 3 in 4 other AP classes.
So
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
So, but does this give you a credit opportunity
Yes.
standalone as
Yes.
well? So
Yes.
if you complete the research project, defend successfully, that
Absolutely.
serves as your
Yes.
AP, okay.
And here it would really naturally lead into the capstone e-portfolio,
Yes.
senior interest project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've wanted to have an independent research experience for kids for a very long time, and so this is a very elegant way on every account of bringing this to life here and creating this opportunity for our kids.
And I think it's wonderful to have it taught by the library media specialists.
Just makes sense.
Well, 'cause research itself is a set of skills outside of
Yeah.
any one
Of any
particular
content.
discipline.
That's correct.
And that's the thing that I really feel that our kids need across the board, even
Yep.
and beyond the AP environment. So to be starting there and figuring from there, I think is great.
Yeah, so thanks for saying yes.
Thank you.
Some of the most flexible media specialists here in this community, really making it all happen.
Thank you, I love it.
Can I ask
They're
you
the
one
best.
last question? The textbook, do you guys know what the textbook is?
We don't have a textbook. We use our databases, we use current sources of information. We do not have a textbook.
Okay, so in here it says textbooks will cost $3,000 for the first year. Is that for, did it really mean maybe like the digital part of it?
That is probably the digital part of it, but that really should be rolled in with, I think.
Oh, I think it's enrolled into the total. I think, see, this 3,000 here.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. It's talking about a textbook.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
good.
We use the resources that we have
Okay.
available to us
Got
and
it.
through the EP.
Oh, that's supplies, right? Supplies and textbooks.
Right.
So it's all rolled in.
It's all rolled in.
Yeah.
Great. Kara, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your support.
So much.
Thank you.
I think we should take the course.
Thank you.
Seriously, I go back to school.
I know, right?
Did you?
Yes. I picked grad school based on
High school. No.
I wanted a clinically based school. I ended up at research school, but I didn't want to go to research. I'm sorry. It's terrible.
So when I went to Northeastern, they had undergraduate requirements similar to this, that you had to in order to graduate. Okay. We have gone through. Mental health.
Great, so just an update on last spring, you approved my recommendation. A study group is probably a better name than a task force. So here's what I'm thinking about. As you know, we've been concerned about student mental learning for a long time. I think it's really, kind of came to light in 2017. So after we surveyed our kids and engaged with some feedback, we learned that so many of our kids are feeling outsized experiences with stress and anxiety as a result of the pressure that they've been feeling here in the community as a result of just wanting to achieve highly and getting into schools, etc. Those experiences were certainly exacerbated through the pandemic, and we saw across the country, and certainly here locally, epidemic levels of kids experiencing acute mental illness. And so, Kim and her mental health colleagues here in this building across the district, have been working furiously to support kids, to support families, to try to get their hands on, what's happening here. And we have been taking data pretty consistently. And so, we have one data set that says, on the whole, kids are feeling mostly okay. And then we have another data set that's also revealed that we have an increased number of kids who are having really acute experiences. And in the last several years, we've had a significantly increased number of kids who are experiencing suicidal ideation, who have been hospitalized, and who are just generally struggling to feel good and to be successful through school and the rest of their lives. And so, what I'm proposing through this task force or study group is that we pull some people together and really dive deep into our data, and we get some expert feedback on what's happening here, as well as some expert feedback on the programs that we are currently running, and some recommendations about what's next. And so what we're imagining is we'll have 3 gatherings. The first meeting in November, the second meeting in February, and then we'll have a final meeting in May. And so for that first November meeting, what I'd like to do is just invite some clinicians. So we're thinking about people like Susan Bauerfeld or Andrew Gerber, and there are a number of folks here in the region who are really tuned into what's happening with kids. I want to send them our data, and then I want to engage with them in conversation about not only what we're seeing come through our data and our experiences in school, but have them level set about what they're experiencing in their respective practices. Between November and February, I want to use that time period to really do interviews with select students that would volunteer, families, as well as staff. And then, again, for the same purpose, like, let's dive into, what's happening here and just gather that information. And then, between February and May, I'm going to use that time to look at our data, also to, spend some time just in the literature and then compare our practices. So what are we doing? What do we have in place? What are our kids experiencing against what the, whatever literature we put our hands on, suggesting as well. And then in May, I want to use that third meeting to kind of put it together and present a set of recommendations, the findings and recommendations. So Kim and I have been talking about this. It's, when you talk about mental health, it's huge, and trying to get your arms around it can be really challenging. I think, as we talked a little bit about, qualitatively this year so far, things feel like they're not as intense for kids in the way they have been in previous years, which is great. But, I think we absolutely need to continue to focus on this and make sure that our systems and supports are comprehensive and they're the right systems and supports. We also, that there remain, across the state and across the country, gaps in provider services, because there's just a dearth of providers available. There's the insurance barrier. I don't intend necessarily to kind of tackle that milieu, but perhaps through our findings and recommendations, we might have additional recommendations for legislators or whatever. So that's in a nutshell what I'm proposing.
Susan would be really good.
I asked her the other night,
Yeah.
so she was like, "Of course." So yeah, she's.
I've known her for many, many years. She did a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
She's really great.
Yeah, great friend of the community. And
Yeah.
she was wonderful. Jenny Wallace and that. So she's already said yes.
Good. Does this fit in with anything that's already happening, like anything that Wilton Youth Council are doing?
I don't think so. I don't So the mental health task force that is kind of operated over the last year, they were, I think, more broadly concerned about raising awareness in the community. We had a really wonderful panel presentation across the street, and so they're now kind of operating under the guise of the Wilton Youth Council. I was out of town when I think they had their first meeting, and so I'm not clear, and I just haven't had a chance to catch up with them to find out kind of what it is they're thinking about. My sense had been, they were really looking, operating as an advocacy group, trying to raise awareness and maybe, create more resources. So, for me, as I was thinking about this group, because I did think about that a lot, like, is this, the same thing? That's why I'm saying, this is perhaps more like a self-study kind of group, and so it's internal, it's our staff, and we'll, widen it to, other stakeholders as appropriate, but I think I'm really anxious to kind of just get my hands around the data to really understand what it's telling us and to have that kind of first level of clinical feedback, and then, take some time to talk to kids, families, teachers, etc., and kind of build from there.
Are there any other anyone else in the dirt doing anything like this?
Not that I'm aware of, but I haven't asked.
Okay.
I like the approach. I think it's a good approach to try to focus on what's going on in our own buildings with our own kids and what we as a school community can do, which is different than asking some of the larger questions from a broader community-based focus.
Yeah, I think too, the opportunity we have to kind of look internally, things kind of fall apart for kids here at the high school, but that's not maybe necessarily where things begin to go off the rails.
Right.
And there are lots of different reasons, so I don't want to presume anything because, there's many, you can kind of guess on your own. But I am interested in patterns, and so is there a pattern that we're not aware of, beginning somewhere else in our system that we might have a chance to address if it exists? So that's why I'm thinking about the approach that I'm thinking about. Good, so I'll just keep you updated. Okay.
Sounds good.
So
And
we'll
any help you need from us,
Sure.
just let us know. First read of new policy 4115.2, emergency action plan for interscholastic and intramural athletic events.
Great, so this policy is a new required policy. The purpose of the policy is to cause the development of an emergency action plan. It stipulates a variety, a range of requirements. The good news is we have one. We've had one since 2019, and so we have a practice that's actually in compliance with a policy that doesn't yet exist. So that's very good. What else do I want to tell you about this? I think for the next round, I don't have in reviewing the existing action plan. Chris McDougall had developed it back in 2019. Bobby has done the revisions, with the athletic trainers. So it meets all of the criteria of the policy. In the next kind of round of materials, I'll just send you a draft. I should have sent it out just so you can reference it, but I'll send you the actual action plan.
So this is really memorializing things that are already in place.
Yeah. So we were ahead of the curve on this one.
Okay. And this.
You guys skipped the transportation policy.
Oh, did I go out of order?
Mm-hmm. Just by one. 351.
Oh, I did.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, any questions about that one before we go back? Okay. So the student transportation policy, this policy has been under review just as part of our systematic review. It's been hanging around the policy committee for a while. That's a result of my just inability to move it forward. So this policy is doing several things. One, we're integrating 3 separate policies: the transportation policy, the transportation of non-resident enrolled students, and the transportation of resident private and parochial students. So if this policy is approved, then those other 2 will be retired and will just be one single policy. So the language for the non-resident and resident private and parochial students remains unchanged. We just moved it from their standalone policies and integrated into this one. The remaining language comes directly from Shipman and Goodwin's recommended transportation policy, and it completely supplants our existing transportation policy. We kept some features of our existing policy. Notably, one of the differences was the distance requirements for kids who may be required to walk to school. Because we don't really have sidewalks anywhere, we don't require walkers, but in our existing policy, it was like a half mile, for the younger kids and a mile for the older kids, and the recommended policy from Shipman was a mile, 2 miles. And so, neither of those make sense in Wilton, but that's the language we are keeping, or proposing to keep. In terms of what the policy does, it describes our duty to transport students. It describes the responsibilities of the districts and of parents relative to pick up and drop off. It has provisions about student behavior on the buses. And then it spends quite a bit of time identifying hazardous conditions, and that's a new feature that doesn't really exist in our current policy. And that, all of that, kind of belabored discussion about hazardous conditions is really for the purpose of determining safe bus stops. And so, we don't have any information today that suggests that we have any unsafe stops. And generally, when parents or others have a concern, they call, and it's just, resolved either, directly with the bus company or, working now with the transportation coordinator. And, that's a process that works well. The last thing that the policy does is just provide for a complaint procedure. And so, there too, we've had one in place for a long time. And so, like we do with everything else, we try to resolve issues at the lowest level. And if we can't, they kind of progress up the ladder.
Any questions on transportation? And now 41154, new draft policy, external heat illness awareness for intramural and interscholastic athletics.
Yeah, so this exertional heat illness awareness policy is also a new required policy. The purpose of this policy is to, one, ensure that coaches receive training on exertional heat illness, and then 2, to ensure that parents and students get information on exertional heat illness. So, in reviewing the materials that we have, our emergency athletics emergency action plan does speak to exertional heat illness. Our current athletics handbook doesn't, and so I have to just spend a little bit of time with Bobby to understand what mechanisms are currently in place to provide the information to train the coaches. I believe that part of the coaching certification addresses this. I just want to verify that, and then we'll get some feedback from him, and likely we'll probably add material to our athletics handbook to address this topic, and then we'll have the policy and be in compliance with it.
Does the handbook have to be signed? Does that serve as does this one ask for an informed consent signature?
Yeah, the way that's not done through the handbook, but when you go as a parent and as a student, when you get into the registration system that we have, there's a series of required passages that you have to read sign off on.
So this would have to get an additional...
If it's not already there.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of them. There's concussion awareness. There's a whole laundry list. And so,
Okay.
I do them 3 times a year. So next time I do it for the winter, I'll have to look very
See,
carefully.
okay.
Yeah.
The emergency action plan is in the board docs attached with these 2 policies.
Perfect.
So
Thank
if
you.
you wanted to look on it, it is there.
Great.
Okay, great. Okay, now possible action items. First is
the Wilton High School Summer 2024 Costa Rica trip.
Great, so I'm asking for a motion to approve that trip. The staff's here a few weeks ago and presented an update. We've done this trip now at least twice. It's been very good, very well received with students. They meticulously address all of the safety concerns. You heard, directly from students about the merits of the trip, and so I see no reason why it shouldn't be able to continue.
Kids loved it.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve the 2024 Costa Rica trip?
I so move.
Thank you, Pam. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nicola. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And last but not least is bylaw 9120, election of officers. We spoke about this at our last meeting. We added a time frame with no less than a week prior to the organizational meeting. And we had talked about, Laura had raised the idea of there being a neutral or non-current officer presiding over the meeting to elect officers. Council had said that doesn't fit in with the way the bylaws are structured, that the former chair serves until there's a new chair, and so that chair would preside over the meeting, or in the event that that chair wasn't re-elected, it would be the vice chair or the secretary.
Right, I was thinking about this because in the absence of any officer, being returned to the board, then I think just, simply procedurally, there'd be a vote for a temporary chair. That's not how this board has operated in the past. Just ensuring that it's a more duly elected board that facilitates it.
Yeah. Are there any further questions?
Yeah. My thought on this was that the survey would go out, but it would be returned a week before the meeting. Right now, it reads that we are going to send a survey a week before the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we can just fix that, and then I guess maybe next meeting we'll just.
Well, why don't we just make the change?
Why don't we
So
just
you want to
make the
say
change?
no
Yeah,
less
let's
than,
fix it.
why don't we say no less than 2 weeks prior, and the chair shall distribute electronically to the Board of Education.
Within 1 week?
Yep.
A week prior.
Yeah, a week prior.
All right, so 2 weeks. All right, so I'll just, so results of the survey shall be provided to the board.
In the board packet, a week prior.
Yeah, 1 week prior, via email. And in the board packet in advance of the organizational meeting. Is that what that
Oh, I just.
Okay.
So it would read then,
Good.
no less than 2 weeks prior to the organizational meeting, the chair shall distribute electronically to the Board of Education members of survey in which any board member may choose to note such member's interest in serving as an officer. Results of the survey shall be provided to the board via email and in the board packet 1 week prior to the organizational meeting, period. During the organizational meeting, board members may nominate any board member to serve as an officer, notwithstanding the information shared through the survey. Is that?
Yep, that'll do it. Thanks.
Great, and then I'll just update.
Yeah. So then, is there a motion to approve the changes as just so read? Into bylaw 9120?
Yeah, so moved.
Okay, Jen has moved, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam, all in favor? Unanimously carries. Just under future business and information items, the class size report is now, for 2023, is now available. The next Board of Education meeting is November 2nd at 7 o'clock. And then following that, November 16th. And then then December 14th, which will also be the organizational meeting. And the budget presentation will be on January 11th. Time is just going by. November 2nd, there will be a discussion of budget goals and assumptions.
Yes. It's that time.
It's that time of the year.
Sorry? Yeah, oh, that's right. We'll have SLAM here to do the enrollment projections.
Oh, okay. On November 2nd as well?
Yep.
Okay.
No Ellen.
We used
Moved
SLAM
on.
this year.
Yeah. And then I think earlier, just for everybody's attention, you said November 10th was the next Board of Finance meeting.
I think they were talking about November 14th.
14th, I'm sorry, yes,
Let's-
November
I
14th.
would
Yes.
wait till it's scheduled.
Scheduled,
before we
yeah. Yep.
revise it.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Comments from the public? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned at 8:49.